Okay, let's go ahead and let's see what happens with an equation like this. So I notice that I'm going to have to distribute on the left-hand side as well as combine like terms on the right-hand side. So again, just to make my life a little easier, I'm going to make a dotted line underneath the equal sign so I can clearly see the sides of the equation. I'm going to distribute. So 3 times x is 3x, 3 times 2 is 6. I'm going to bring down my -5. And on the right-hand side, I see that I have 2 separate sets of like terms that I can combine. I know that 4x can be combined with -1x, or 4x minus x. Same thing. That is going to give me 3x. And then -6 plus 3 is -3. Okay, on the left-hand side, I can combine like terms. So I have 6 minus 5 is 1. Okay, so now that I can see I have variables on both sides of the equation. Okay, I have a 3x on the left and a 3x on the right. I have to move them to one side. So I am going to move them to the left-hand side, which means that I would be subtracting 3x from both sides. Now, you may be thinking, what's going on here? 3x minus 3x is 0. 3x minus 3x is 0x. Our variables actually cancel out. So we are left with 1 equals -3. We know in math 1 is not equal to -3. This doesn't make any sense. 1 will never be equal to -3. Because this statement is not true and our variables canceled out, that means that we have a situation where there is no solution. No solution means that there is no number, no numeric value that we can substitute for our variable to get a true statement. And because there are no values that would make this true, our answer is actually no solution, and you can just write that down. Okay, let's see what happens here. So again, I am going to separate my equation into 2 parts with a dotted line. And just like the problem before, I noticed that I have to distribute a negative on the left-hand side, and I'll have terms that I can combine on the right. So the first thing I'm going to do is distribute my negative, or I can think of that as a -1. So -1 times x is -x. -1 times 3 is -3. And on the right-hand side, I'm going to combine my like terms. So I see that I can combine 4 and -5. So that's going to leave me with -x minus 1. On the left-hand side, you should have noticed that you can combine like terms. And again, that would also leave us with -x minus 1. So just like the last problem, you may see something. You may notice something at this point, but I want you to keep going. So let's go ahead and let's solve for our variable. So let's get our x's on the left-hand side, which means I'm going to add x to both sides. When I do that, -x and a positive x cancels out. So again, I'm left with -1 equals -1. Now this scenario is different from the last because this is true. -1 will always be equal to -1. And because this is a true statement and my variables canceled out, my answer would be infinite solutions, which we can use this infinity sign, or you could write all real numbers or infinite solutions. Any of those answers would suffice. And what this means is you could choose any number and plug it into your equation for the variable, and you would end up with a true statement.